All right, morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started with Coach Traylor. Please use the raise hand function to ask questions and wait for me to call on you. JJ?
Jeff, looking back at this past week at FAU, just what are some of the biggest things you guys did well to play so well?
Our defense was just so dominant up front. Secondary was matched up, did a really good job. We didn't turn anybody loose, which we've done that about 4 weeks in a row. So the communication and execution in the back was really good. Offensively, minus the 3 turnovers, we were very good. Had a miscommunication on the first one, poor execution by our offensive tackle on the second one. And then Frank he just didn't take care of the ball on the third one, which is unfortunate. And he's better than that, and he knows that, and he'll get that cleaned up. But special teams wise, we were fantastic. I mean, that's the #1 punt return in the country. Lucas Dean did a great job of punting the ball. Our gunners did a great job of covering. He had 0 yards return. Elliott had a great tackle. Sideline also helped on that, obviously. Cam did a good job of down the ball on the 3-yard line, which led to a safety. The huge punt return by Chris Carpenter right before halftime, which set up the field goal by Chase, which gave us a 10-point lead. So it's 2 weeks in a row we've played complimentary football. The triangle toughness showed up, and it's the time of year for us to start showing up.
Jeff, has there been any secret to the success these last 2 weeks or these last 2 games, or is it just continuing to do the things you guys have always done?
Yeah, it's that really boring answer. It's just practice. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. And it's too boring, though. Nobody wants to talk about that stuff. It's hard work. It's just hard. It's tough. And if it was easy, everybody'd do it. But you got to challenge yourself every day. You got to go on the practice field, keep stacking days. I know nobody wants to hear that because it's not sexy at all, but you got to work, man. And our kids have been working. Sometimes it doesn't look like it. I get it. Sometimes it doesn't. You don't think we're not working. But usually when you work hard and you have a good attitude about it, good things start coming your way.
Did I hear right? You smashed your finger on a cheese trap today?
Yeah, we passed out about 112 of them. Loaded them all up. No, we unloaded all of them, but one of my smart aleck seniors loaded his back up and put it up on the podium where I speak to the kids, and I put my hand there, and it's it looks like my pinky got smashed by a hammer, but it would have killed a lesser man. But I'm okay, JJ. I appreciate you asking. I know Greg wouldn't care.
With that, Greg?
Well, I'll have you know it was on my list of things, but thankfully JJ covered it, so we're
Well,
good.
I'm glad to know that, Greg. I'm glad to know that.
I'll ask you instead about the offensive line. How have you felt about the performance and the progress we've seen on that group as you found some consistency there?
Yeah, we didn't allow a sack again. That's always good. Obviously, Ernesto's a really good football player, but not getting the defensive end cut. We threw a little early. We didn't high wall and set him good enough or long enough. And the kid made a really good play, so kudos to FAU for that as well. But yeah, our all 3 running backs had great games. They all ran the ball well, and we couldn't be more proud of those guys. And that's what I thought we did really well. We were just very physical in all aspects of the game. We were a really physical football team. It was fun to watch, and it's as good as I've seen our locker room after a game. And we've had some big wins here, but our kids, you can tell we're starting to get better, and they know it.
What's the latest on Mekhi Hart and when he might be fixing to return to the lineup for you guys?
Yeah, I'd say soon, but I don't know how soon. I doubt it would be this week, but I would say it's getting close.
Steven?
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning, Steven.
Speaking on the running attack, you had 3 guys all had at least 50 yards rushing. Was that just kind of the way the game turned out, or is that something you guys would like to see week to week?
Yeah, we've not hidden from that all year. We think all 3 of those guys are really good. It's always the way I wanted to play. We had it last year, and we had it set up. We just could never get it off and running. With B. Brady and Trey, and then obviously Kavorian, but Trey couldn't get healthy the whole year, and then B. Brady got hurt. And then when we had Sincere, B. Brady couldn't stay healthy. So it's just that's the best way. There's only so many carries in those guys. I know I've used the analogy of a boxer a lot of times, but those NFL guys can tell how good they are with 10 carries. They don't need to have 25. And it's just what's best for the longevity of their careers. It makes us a better football team in the fourth quarter. It makes us a better football team in the month of November and December. And we all know that's where the biggest games are.
And looking at the receiving core, McEwen and McCoy both had pretty good games. What does that do for you guys going forward that now they're kind of stepping into bigger roles?
And Amador showed up again as well, which is 2 weeks in a row. So that's 3 young guys that we got that have been real big additions for us, just due to injuries and, stuff that happens during the year. Again, Taki Kellogg showed up, Josh. So really proud of that group. And more than anything, how they block for each other. They're really physical on the edge. And the physicality we brought to the game was something we were very proud of. Our kids they love football and they love to play a certain style. We put it out there about the 2-1-0 triangle of toughness, and we've only been about it for 2 weeks in a row now. So 2 out of 7 is not good enough. So we got to keep getting better. And I know everybody's proud of how much we've improved, and we sure enjoy the compliments a lot better than the way we were getting treated in September. But the way we were treated in September was deserved because we didn't play very well. So it's all fair, but we got to stay humble and keep getting better, and don't eat the cheese. Desperate people live differently than prosperous people. And we got to play like a desperate football team.
Brandon?
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Just wanted to talk a little bit about your defensive line going up against a squad that had been given that didn't give up a sack last week. Y'all go in there and you managed to get 5. Was there anything that y'all saw on the film that you were able to take advantage of? And when you do see that your defense is performing that well, does it give you confidence to run a different scheme or throw more out there that maybe you wanted to try out?
Those guys had 5 returning starters up front. They were the 3rd most consistent O-line in the country. So we had our hands full. But I just think it shows how good our D-line can be when they're up to a challenge and they're mentally focused correctly. I think what changed mainly as far as how dominant we were, we got real conservative offensively, just because that we had only given up 3 points going into the fourth quarter, and we were up by a 3-score game. So that's the only thing that would change. We brought some pressures, obviously, but a lot of that was just guys winning their one-on-one battles. But when we have brought our pressures lately, we've been getting home. That's been exciting to see. And in the back end, our coverage has been so good. Our corners and safeties played really good this week. That's as good as I've seen Nick Troy Fortune play. Cam Alexander had another good game. DeJuan got injured but came back out there and played well. And then we're finally getting Stitch Dumas out there for the first time here recently, and he played well as well.
Thank you, Coach.
JJ?
Jeff, going back to don't eat the cheese, how do you get that message to your guys across this week? I imagine it's a big don't eat the cheese week.
Oh, we've had a little fun. We brought all the receipts out. I got my black ops, my guys that do all the stuff behind the scenes. We went digging and found all the things that you guys have said about us and all of our fans have said about us for the whole month of September. And heck, there's even one out there called Fire Traylor. So we've got that up and rolling in the building. And we've seen every coach that need to be fired, every player need to be fired. We loved it. Somebody thought Frank came back just for the money, and he doesn't care about the team. We got that up in the locker room. So we got all the receipts up, and we're trying to motivate and just keep getting better, stay humble, have a little fun with it, but also remind ourselves where we were in September and where we are right now in October.
Jeff, at the same time, you guys have been pretty good in conference play. I think this is your 25th win. So how do you walk that line of keeping that confidence?
Just that. We speak it, but we also understand how we got there. We got there by being really good on defense, really good on offense, and really good on special teams. And when you don't play well, you don't win those ball games. So we know who we are, but we also were 11-0 one year and went to Denton and didn't show up and came home 11-1. We also let an Army team beat us this year that we thought we were better than, and they kicked our tails, right? So again, I think last week you saw North Carolina get beat by Virginia. It happens every week. I mean, if you don't take care of your business, man, that other team plays good, you play down, you lose.
Greg?
Jeff Kelechi and Nwachukwu this week matched the school record for games played. What did it mean to you to see that?
Oh, he's just a great, great kid, great mind, cybersecurity. I mean, he's got a real degree. He doesn't have the old kinesiology degree. Not there's anything wrong with that. Just talking about my own self here. He didn't get that one. He got cybersecurity, and that dude's smart, man. I mean, he's just really smart, high character, and doesn't surprise me at all, though, Kelechi.
What kind of a response or relationship has he built with his teammates? It seems like through all of his years here, he's just been willing to take on whatever role the program needs.
Yeah, that's just him. He'll play special teams. He plays in the nickel package. He goes up there and plays in the base package. He'll do whatever. That's just who Kelechi is. And, he's one of those single-digit guys that you're really proud of, man. He's special.
Stephen?
Coach, looking at East Carolina, they may not be doing as well as they were predicted to, but what have you seen from them and what stands out about them?
Well, the first thing I noticed is their schedule. I mean, would you want to play Michigan? Would you want to play Marshall? Would you want to play App State? Rice is playing very good this year. They beat Houston. We didn't. SMU's playing really good. So then you look at Charlotte. Well, it's an in-state robbery, and you know how those robbery games are. You never know. You look at their defense. Statistically, they're number 2 in the country on rushing. I mean, that's an impression. That's a stat that's pretty phenomenal, especially when we like to run the football like we do. Defensively, they're top 25, top 30 in the country overall. They've been in every single ball game. They held Michigan to 30 points. This game is it's literally a trap game. I mean, which is why we've got all the mouse traps out, cheese out, because if we sleep on these guys, they'll come in here and embarrass us on homecoming.
And for you guys on defense, what do y'all need to do to contain their offense?
Well, our defense is really good, right? When we're locked in. You've also seen us be very bad against Army, bad against Temple, bad against Tennessee. But when we have MAs and we're not focused and we don't communicate, we can look like we don't know what we're doing. Now against Texas State, against Houston, the last 2 weeks, we've put together 4 really good games, but 4 out of 7 is not good enough. Can we stack another one? Can we play good 3 weeks in a row? And that'll be the challenge this Saturday. They've got good players now. Both quarterbacks can move around. The receivers are athletic. Both backs they're physical running backs. Tight end's a good player. And we'll have our hands full. It'll be a good football game.
JJ?
Jeff, I wanted to pivot a little bit here to the student vote. I believe that's this week for the fee increase. Can you just talk about how important that is for the program? And I guess what's your pitch to the students?
Well, I just tell the truth. Like, I try to do that all the time. When I run into people that are older that help bring football to UTSA, it's unbelievable how much pride those people have in their adult life now that they had such a huge impact on the entire city of San Antonio and UTSA by bringing football. And here's another opportunity. I think that's the last time we've done a fee increase. That might not be factual. I believe I've heard that. And in order for us to be competitive in the AAC, we're going to need that. And it's for all the programs. And it's just a huge, huge vote for us. And I hope it passes, and I hope people go out and vote. And I understand there's a story on both sides of the fence, but it's for us and the future of our program. And it just brings so much notoriety to the university. I mean, I don't go anywhere in the country now. When I have my cap on, I don't get any more like, are y'all the Ravens? Like, I never get asked that question anymore. Everybody usually gives me the old meet, birds up, and talk about Frank Harris and all the championships and how cool the Alamo Dome is. That's wherever I go. When I see my kids in New York, when I go to Florida, it doesn't matter where I travel. When I've got the old cap on, everybody knows about the birds.
Greg?
Jeff, you guys as a team rank 6th in the country in tackles for loss and 9th in sacks. Is there Any reason those negative plays have been there for you guys at such a high level?
Yeah, we've got really good football players, and they make a lot of good plays.
Anything different from previous years that's allowed that group to step forward in the way they have?
Just 4 years of consistency and recruiting the right kids, and those guys get after it. They're good football players. They're fun to watch.
You touched on Nick Fortune earlier, obviously a leader on this team and has been pretty steady at corner for a couple of years now. Was it meaningful to see him get rewarded with an interception in the game this weekend?
Just because of the human that he is. I mean, you talk about a guy that stacks great days every day. Another single-digit guy that doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, there's a play earlier in the game where they ran a number one. I thought they're on a single on him, and they ran a hitch and go, and he had unbelievable eye discipline. You can see his eyes stay down his hip the entire time, stayed in phase, played the ball absolutely perfectly. He's just a really good human that shows up to work every day. He does a great job of leading that room, and couldn't be more thrilled for a really great young man to have a great game. And one of the best plays I've seen. I had no idea he picked it, and then everybody, my guys up top, said he had his foot in bounds, and the play stood. So really proud of Nick.
Along the same lines, Joe Evans came through with the safety, and I know he celebrated that one. What was your reaction to seeing him be able to make that play?
Another great young man again, another single-digit guy. This is about par for Joe. He usually comes in a little heavy. He's like his head coach. He likes to eat in the summers. And he starts slimming up in August, slims up a little more in September, slims up a little more in October, and he plays his best football usually from now on. And when the temperature drops, that really helps Big Joe. So, man, it's going to be fun to watch him down the home stretch.
JJ?
Jeff, as one of you guys have played these last 3 games, is there another level you think this team could reach?
I do. I think our best football's out there. I really do. We just have not played all 3 as good as possible yet, and it's out there, and we're chasing it. We're in the hunt for that game.
Jeff, wanted to ask you about JT Clark. Looks like he didn't travel this week. Do you have any long-term news you could share with us, or has anything new developed on that?
We've had one opinion last week. We're getting a second opinion today, and we'll know more about that. Probably we'll have a plan probably after this week is up. I would not expect to see him this week either.
Wanted to ask you about the report on wide receiver Joshua Cephas having some legal issues. I guess, can you comment on that, and what's your take on, I guess, what was reported last week?
Well, it needs to play out in the legal system. I know everybody has their opinions on it, but not everybody has the facts that we have, and it's not fair to play that out publicly because he has a lawyer that represents him, and there's a court system that handles those situations. And if you know more about it, you could be a little bit more informed. We're just not at liberty to say. And all I can tell everybody is that President Amy, Dr. Compost, and I, we're going to do what's best for the kid. And we're getting all the information that we can. And that's really all I can say on it right now.
Greg?
Jeff, how important was it for this group to be able to get Rocco Griffin some real run in this game after he missed last week? I know he had a lot of carries, especially down the stretch there.
Yeah, it was good to get him back. And, it just shares the spreads the wealth out and saves those guys some punches. And, he needed to take a few extra ones. He got the week off the week before, so he got a few extra this week.
We talked a couple of weeks back about the dynamic of having the early open week and how you might manage that through the year. When you have a game that gets pretty one-sided like this towards the end, is it important to maybe cycle some guys through, or how much did you try to take advantage of that?
We did defensively, not so much offensively. We tried to run the ball and keep our ones. Now, we play a lot of guys to begin with, but we didn't. We probably play 7 or 8 receivers every game anyway, and probably 7 or 8 offensive linemen. I know we play 2 or 3 tight ends every game, so that's pretty much the way we play. But we did not per se empty the bench. Defensively, we always play 3 rounds of guys, so I don't know that we got that much load off of anybody. I think the numbers for reps were about like always. I'd have to study that to make sure, but I don't remember sensing it getting like anybody just got taken out or anything.
Did you think about doing that on offense for that last series there, or why was it important to keep those ones in all the way through?
It was a really big game on the road, and we just needed to make sure we got that one home and got on the plane. That was just a big one.
Back to you, JJ.
Jeff, did it mean anything extra for you to go up against Tom Herman this last week? I know he was there at Texas after you were, and you were pretty complimentary towards him leading up to the game.
He's a really good coach. He's had a great career. And obviously, he's the one that replaces the University of Texas. And, you know, he made a decision what was best for him and his program. And, you know, no different than when I got the job here. There's just certain people you want to bring with you. And so it'd be very hypocritical of me to judge him any differently. So he's had a great career at Houston and Texas. He's a very good football coach. And we were really excited that our team played very well against a good football team. And we haven't played great in Florida, which I learned a lot about that from the famous Andy Everett. He kept reminding me of it. So it was just good to get that kind of that monkey off our back. I'd forgotten that's where we lost our bowl game as well, and got reminded of that as well. So that was just good to get that off of us and come home with that was a fun. I've never seen our kids now. This is crazy. I've never seen them that excited after a game. They had a blast in the locker room. They had a blast on the plane the whole way home. They can tell we're getting better. And you can just tell they're a bunch of kids that have heard how bad they are for a whole month, and they're ready to get some of that stink off of us.
My last question for you here. I know you said this, you looked at East Carolina as a trap game. Think you guys are a 3-score favorite by the odds makers. What is that? Does that mean anything to you guys?
We anticipated that. We talked about it as soon as we got in the locker room. And again, all you got to do is watch college football. And it happens every week. Somebody with that much of a spread, you know, goes down. And if we don't want that to be the Roadrunners, we've got to practice our tail off in the morning at 7 a.m. And whether it's raining out there or whatever it's doing, we got to be ready to roll.
Anything else for Coach Traylor this morning? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank y'all. God bless. Birds up.